Hi, I'm Evan,
I'm Riley.
and we are the assistant stage managers on Asheville Community Theater's Little Women, and we are here today interviewing the one John O'Neill, 1/3 of O Cubed, and the stage manager of Little Women at ACT.
Hey everybody, O cubed, because all of our last names start with O, and we are three. Thanks for having me on, everybody, and I'm excited to answer some questions.
All right, John, what shows have you stage managed in the past?
Well, that is a great question. I just kind of went through my list. This is my 8th show, I believe. The very first show that I stage managed was back in college, which was Twilight, but it was not the vampire story. It was called Twilight Los Angeles 1992, which was the story of the riots in Los Angeles in 1992. Then after I graduated from college, my first big professional gig as a stage manager was at Busch Gardens. I did Scrooge No More. So I went from doing a show in a theater that holds 200 people to a theater that holds about 800 or 900 people. Yeah, it was massive, and I got that job 2 weeks before. I got that job a week before I started, and then I moved up to Virginia for 2 months, and then I came back here. And other shows that I've done in the area are Into the Woods, the Ballad of R and J with American Myth Center, The Groundling, Alice, and Little Women, Alice in Wonderland, and Little Women in Asheville.
Well, that's just great. Riley, your turn to ask a question. Think of it up on the spot.
What?
Think of it on the spot.
Oh, what are some of your favorite aspects of stage management?
Right. So that is a great question. So probably my favorite aspect of being a stage manager is calling the show. And so that is when the show is going on and I'm in the booth, and I'm on headset next to the light designer and or the light board operator, and I'm calling all of the cues that happen on stage, whether it's lights, sound, telling everybody to get to places. It is the main part of the show where I get to kind of put my artistic ideas and artistry to the show. While I do call the cues where they are told me to call by the director and the designers, I still have to feel just when to call that light cue or that sound cue. And it's really fun to get that light cue or sound cue just right. There were a lot of times in Into the Woods where I had over 300 cues in both lights and sound, that when we got a lighting cue done exactly right, called exactly at the right time with the things that were happening on the stage, it was beautiful and it made me really, really excited, to the point where one time at the bump, if you know Into the Woods, the bump at the end of the opening song, I got the light bump right, and I got so excited because I missed it the night before that I said, "There you go." And my light board operator, doing exactly what she was trained to do, which is press the go button when I say go, press the go button. Which all it did was it shortened the applause after the song. So it didn't really affect anything, but it taught me not to say go unless I meant to say go. But outside of calling cues, I really do like just working with lots of different people. I think it's probably why I do theater in general, but I get to work with a lot of different actors, a lot of different directors, designers. With like lighting designers, I've worked with friends of mine, and I've worked with people that I've just met, and getting to work with a lot of different designers. Yeah, and I think most of us are in theater for the connections that we make, the friends that we make, and stage managing is, just part of that, and getting to be with the people and watching. I get to watch great theater every night. It is slightly stressful, but it is a lot of fun.
John, would you care to back up and elaborate on what this booth is that you speak of?
Yeah, so in a lot of theaters, in all the theaters I've worked in, there is a booth within the theater itself. It is usually at Asheville Community Theater. If you're sitting in the seats, if you've ever walked in and been like, "What is that big window up there?" Behind you, about a story up, um, behind this big pane of glass, is the booth that holds the light board, the light board operator, a bunch of other uh, electrical stuff, and the stage manager. And that is where we watch the show, and that's where we can call cues and things like that. But on like Broadway and a lot of big like national tours, they don't have booths that they call from, because there's just no space. They weren't built with booths. So a lot of times stage managers will call from just off stage, which is what they did at Asheville Community Theater before they did the remodel. I think I don't exactly know the timeline of when they had a booth, but I do know at one point stage managers were calling from off stage right. For anybody who's been back there, and you know that there's like a podium back there, that is where the stage manager used to call shows from.
Super cool. Would you care to tell us about how your responsibilities have changed as we shift from the on-stage live action version of Little Women to this Zoomified version that we now speak of?
Right. So a lot of my job is a lot of it has stayed the same. A big part of a stage manager's job is to be the hub of communication. It's the best way that I like to think of it is almost like a bicycle wheel, where you have the middle of it, and then you have spokes that go out, and each spoke is a different part of the production. So you have one spoke is actors, one spoke is the set designer, costume designer, director, um, technicians, technical director, so on and so forth. And like we're right there in the middle, and we're the ones who kind of get all of the information from everybody, and then we disseminate it out to who it needs to go to. So, as you all know, having been in a show that I've stage managed, I send out a lot of emails, and a lot of it is what the next rehearsal is, or what questions actors have for let's say the costume designer. They have a question about their costume, so I get that information and I send it off to Karina, or whoever the costume designer is. And so the communication aspect is still the same. Once we get to production, I won't be calling cues like I would in a show. I won't be on a headset telling my light board operator, stand by, go. I won't be telling you all backstage. I won't be telling my assistant stage managers, hey, get ready for the scene change. Or, something crazy goes on stage, and be like, hey, Riley, when this person comes off stage, ask them this question really quickly and let me know. I won't be doing that. But my main goal right now is making sure everybody's on stage, quote unquote, meaning on the screen when they're supposed to, and that everybody can hear them. And then they exit when they're supposed to. So if somebody forgets to turn off their camera, I turn off their camera. Or if somebody forgets to unmute themselves, I unmute them. But basically, it's similar in the way that like I make sure everything still happens, and I come up with creative ways to come over obstacles when they come. But for the most part, that's the same, but it's just very different because we are all in different rooms. As we found out the other day in rehearsal, it's very, very difficult not being able to directly interact. That's why cell phones are great things, and we have applications that help us make sure we're staying in communication, because I can't yell or not yell, but I can't talk over a headset I don't yell as a stage manager typically. I try to make sure I don't get to that point, but Yeah.
Speaking of communication, little does John know, Riley and I have been chatting in the Zoom feature as John has been talking.
Oh, have
Just
you?
various ways of communicating. Continue,
Absolutely.
John.
No, that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest differences is just not being able to call the show anymore and just not being in the same room and being able to uh, get the same feel as if I were, right there with everybody else.
Very interesting.
Should we move on to the next question?
Yes.
Alrighty. So, John, how vital are these fabulous, incredible, might I say, the best ASMs? Like, how important are they? Obviously, pretty important, but just in your own words, how would you praise them so much that their egos pop?
So I'm going to talk about assistant stage managers in general and how vital they are to stage managers. Stage managers cannot do their jobs effectively without good assistant stage managers. Because there is so many things that we have to do that being able to say, hey, Evan, can you, run and get this prop while I stay here and talk to this actor? Or if we have an actor missing, I can have Riley or Evan run up on stage and stand in for them while I can still write down blocking and different things like that. And once you get into shows, assistant stage managers, especially when you are calling from a booth, assistant stage managers are your connection to the actors and backstage. So once I go up to the booth and it's you two and the assistant stage managers backstage, they're the ones fixing the problems that happen when they go backstage because it's live theater. Things happen. So a great example is last year during Alice in Wonderland, we had Alice was the only one who had a microphone, and there was a performance where she hopped down from the fireplace and her microphone pack fell out of its holder in the middle of the show. And so it was told to me and my assistant stage manager, Maggie, at the time, who we were like, all right, so what do we have to do? We got to get her off stage because Sadie never came off stage. In 115 pages, she was on 115 pages, and we actually had to block in times for her to go off stage. And so we came up with an idea, and I think it was you, Evan. We told you, as the White Rabbit, when you had your entrance, to walk by her and tell her to go off stage or something.
There was a time when I bumped into her in the scene.
Yeah. And I think we told you, hey, tell her to go off stage or something like that. And so we had that was the second time she went off the stage. Yeah, the first time we brought down the lights, we had Baylor come and take her off stage so they could see what was going on. They ended up disconnecting the microphone, and then we had to get her off again, and that's when you came in. And so, yeah, during that change, we told everybody who was doing the scene change, hey, we're actually going to go to a blackout instead of a blue like you're used to. And so I had them, I think you were in that scene, Riley. I had my backstage people tell you all, hey, we're going to a blackout. So just know I reached over, I grabbed the fader, made it go completely black while you did the scene change. And so people that day didn't know that happened. And so that couldn't have happened without my assistant stage managers knowing the show really well, knowing the actors well, and being able to come up with creative ideas to make things happen. And I remember the second time she came off, which is the time you told her to go off, John Hall was coming on as a caterpillar. And so we just, Maggie just whispered to him, hey, I need you to just ad lib until she comes on. And he did. He came on, he started playing with the bubbles. So, yeah. And of course, my assistant stage managers for Little Women are so amazing. And they have done everything that I've asked of them and beyond. They're both learning to be very good assistant stage managers to the point where I would 100% want them back as assistant stage managers. But also, if I ever become a director sometime, I know who I'm calling to stage manage a show for me.
And who would that be, John?
I would call both of you.
Oh, just for clarification.
Yeah.
Can we get like names? I just want this on recording.
The stage management team of you would become O squared at that point. I will hire the stage manager.
Who would you call first?
Next question, please.
All right, John, would you care to mention what your favorite line of the show is?
Yeah, so this is a question that I've asked everybody else in the cast.
And now I'm asking you.
And you are now asking me. And I say it as a joke. It makes me laugh every time I hear it. It's in Act 2, Scene 5. Brooke comes in and tells Meg, hey, it's time to go. And Meg goes, yes, John, you're right. And those are just words that I really like. This script is full of great lines, both funny and serious about life. And it's a great script, and they're all my favorite. But yes, John, you're right is one that I like to cue in on and try to tell Evan and Riley to remember I am right.
Well, thank you for that, John.
We have one more question, Evan.
Oh, we do. I almost forgot. Would you care to ask our final question?
The most important question, I feel, of everything, the entire universe. John, what is your favorite color of juice?
The world awaits.
I feel like we need to give a little bit of background for those people who are watching. So, in Wizard of Oz, is this when this happened? The first time it came up in Wizard of Oz, it was asked of me what my favorite color of juice was, and we got into big arguments when we were all in Miracle on 34th Street at Asheville Community Theater about if we opened a juice store. Which I'm down for. How would we put the product on the shelves, and would it go by color or would it go by flavor? And we learned that the younger you are, you go by color, and the older you are, you go by flavor. Right? I'm old, yes, especially compared to you two. But that's not the question. The question is, what is my favorite color of juice? My favorite color is probably a nice pink. I like a nice pink juice. I had this juice about a month and a half ago that I remember messaging you all as soon as I tasted it because it was so good. And it was like white cranberry strawberry juice. And it was so good. It was really sweet, but it had a little bit of tartness to it. And that is my favorite. And what used to be my favorite was one that you all never believed existed because you'd never seen it, which is like a orange strawberry banana, and it is a really good juice. I actually haven't been able to find it since I've told you all about it, but it exists. But yeah, yes, my favorite color of juice is pink. So,
well, world, you heard it here first.
Very cool.
Thank you for tuning in to today's interview with John, the stage manager, and me and Riley asking the questions. See you on May 30th at the show. Thank you, John.
See y'all. Thank you.